Welcome, welcome. Jamie Hernandez here. So, this is our 6 week series for yoga and mental health and anxiety. So, the first thing that we want to understand about, and I talked about this last week, is when we're experiencing some kind of anxiety, what happens in the mind is that we are perceiving something in the future that may not be happening. So we may be projecting our minds into the future, worrying about something, so we're anxious about something that's happening in the future. So what happens is that when our mind races forward, then it tells our body that we have to hurry up and do something. And so that gives us that anxiety feeling, that anxious feeling in the body where the nervous system doesn't feel regulated and relaxed. So that's one of the reasons why in anxiety we feel that way. So one of the very first and easiest places to go if we find our mind racing forward and worrying in this kind of what I call this problem solving reality is that we want to go back to the body. So there are three places where we can utilize as tools. We have our body, we have our mind, and we have our energy system. And so when we understand those tools, then we can not just try to figure out the solution, but we actually can work with it and collaborate with those three systems in real time. So in real time, if you are experiencing anxiety, which pretty much everyone on the planet has, right? Everyone on the planet experiences that. Then we can do a very simple practice. So today, what we're going to practice is super duper simple, but again, when we're in anxiety, we don't want something complicated, right? And sometimes the mind will be like, well, that's just too easy, and it will kind of skim over what the value of this practice is. So, step number one. If we're starting to feel anxious, which again, all of us are, hello, we can simply, and I'm outside because outside you start to change when you're literally on the earth, you start to change the flow of electrons and neutrons in your body. The very first thing we can do is just to start to notice what it feels like for you when you're in anxiety. Maybe your butt clenches. Maybe there are certain things you do with your body. Maybe there are certain things that you're saying to yourself, right? And it could be like a feeling. It could be like, oh shit, oh, not again, that kind of thing. Like there can be something that often is reoccurring, especially when we experience these feelings and we experience them over and over again without necessarily being embodied in them and fully conscious of them. So we want to start to notice, well, what does my body feel like when I'm feeling anxious, right? Some people have shaky, some people clench their jaws, some people pace around, some people get like overwhelmed and they can't move. So what is it for you? So just notice that. And maybe it's not happening now, but for the next time it happens, or if you remember. And then the second step is, okay, so that's how it feels in my body. And the simplest thing to do is just to start to move the energy. And one of the very simplest things you could do is just to start to walk in place. I know, it's almost too simple, but here it is. So you walk in place, and you're not just walking in place, you're not going anywhere. You're feeling your feet on the ground. So again, I would recommend if you are in a hot country, it's hot right now, you can be outside on the actual earth. And then you start to move your attention downward, down in your heels, down in the edge of your feet, down in your toe mounds. And it's a difference. So here's the difference I want you to feel is that it's not a thinking exercise. It's a feeling exercise. So feel your heels. Right now, feel your heels. Feel the edge of your feet. Feel your toe mounts. Feel what it feels like wherever your feet is. Maybe it's on the floor, maybe it's somewhere else, maybe it's in your shoes. And then allow yourself to breathe in. and allow yourself to breathe. And I call it breathe down, which means that you exhale and you move your attention down your body, down your spine, down your legs, your ankles, into your feet. And then you continue that process, breathing in and exhale, move your attention down. Breathing in and move your attention down. Now, sometimes when we're having anxiety or panic attacks, for example, our body is so used to a certain way of being, and our mind is so used to racing forward, that this exercise, although it seems simple, can be very challenging, because we've trained the mind, and the mind has been in practice of racing forward and worrying about the future and just what's over there, and I hope that doesn't happen. And it's challenging for the mind to come back. So that's the biggest challenge. It's not the complexity of the exercise, it's actually the training of your mind and your body to stay with it. So if, for example, this exercise, as you do it, it's not accessible because you feel so anxious, you'd want to start to allow your movements to be more pronounced. So not just maybe walking in place, but maybe you're moving your ankles, maybe you're lifting your knees, maybe you're lifting your hips, maybe you start moving your spine and your shoulders, and you use your skeleton like a map into the body, and you maybe even make it a little bit more circular in terms of the way you move, so that you're giving your experience movements. And you're allowing yourself to breathe in and breathe out, swaying within the experience. Because again, the kind of forward-thinking mind will think, well, when is this over? Oh my God, I have to fix something. You're not fixing anything. You're experiencing your direct experience of now. Whatever that is. It's like basically the nervous system kind of in hyper overdrive, and you're working with it. So before we can let anything go, we actually have to let it in a little bit. We have to let in the sort of the angsty feeling. We have to kind of see how the mind is kind of racing forward, worrying and all this. And then we be with it, breathing in, breathing down, breathing in, breathing down. Feel your feet on the floor and get detailed. Like, what does it feel like? Oh, okay, I'm feeling grass. I'm feeling like moisture, right? I'm feeling the sun on my face. And you can do this with yourself so that the mind has a different focus instead of what it is anxious about. So you start to allow the mind to learn how to train, how to focus in this experience. Because your physical body is in the experience. Your mind might be racing forward, and it's not necessarily an experience that is happening now. Does that make sense? So you say to yourself, okay, I feel my feet, I feel the grass, I feel the moisture, I feel my ankles moving side to side as you sway. You're walking in place. I feel my knees. I feel my hips. I feel my spine. And again, allow the movement to really start to be in your body. So you're not like, okay, when is this gonna, like, stop waiting, because that's the thing. Sometimes we're like waiting for something to happen. Nothing's happening. You're just here. You're in your body, experiencing what you're experiencing. Maybe you're experiencing a full-blown panic attack. But you're still here in your hips, in your spine, in your shoulders, in your neck, in your head, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, and breathing out. And that could be your loop. You always start with your feet, because usually when we're in anxiety, all the energy is like literally outside of the body. So you want to bring the energy back in through the movement, through the breath, through your attention. And so then you can put that on a loop. I feel my feet, and feel. Don't think it. Don't try to do the exercise so you can get somewhere else. You're actually doing the exercise so you can be with your experience now. Feet. Maybe you're feeling different parts of the feet, like your heels, the edge of your feet, and your toe mounds, your toes, ankles, knees, hips, spine. So this could be your map, okay, in the body. Shoulders, your skeleton, rib cage, elbows. And as if you're pushing yourself from the inside out. So you start to really allow yourself to go inside of your body, as if your bones are pushing from the inside out. Neck, head, breath. Inhale. Exhale down. Inhale through the nose. Exhale down. Inhale through the nose. Exhale all the way down, 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 down. And sometimes a movement, like I'm doing very kind of just gentle movement, but maybe you need to really be in the movement, and then you play with different kind of frequencies, different kind of slow, fast. But again, we're doing it so that we can be more in the experience. We're not trying to fix or get away from something. We're not trying to fix our anxiety or get away from the panic attack. We're actually like, oh, this is what it's like. And the more we sort of like settle in, it's sort of like, when you're in ocean water and maybe you're fighting the current and you're trying to like swim and then all of a sudden you sort of like, oh, now you start to recognize the waves and you let your body relax and you start to feel the ocean, and maybe the ocean feels stronger than you, but you kind of surrender into it. Same thing when we're in anxiety, or in depression, or wherever we are, we can allow ourselves to experience the experience. This is stage number 1. Okay, we're in week number 1. Yoga and meditation for mental health and anxiety. And that's it. So that's the practice. So this can be anywhere. You can transport this anywhere and anytime. And if also you want to do it as more of a preventative, like you wake up in the morning and you bring your attention, you map through the body, and you utilize a breath to breathe in and breathe down. It allows you just to shift the nervous system and start to oxygenate. So if we take deeper breaths, you start to oxygenate the body. And as you breathe, it starts to shift the nervous system. So if we do it more as a preventative, for example, it prepares the nervous system. So if there is some kind of stressor that starts to happen or something that kind of triggers our anxiety, the nervous system is a little bit more prepared to receive the information, because that's what it is. The body is informing you that, there's a misalignment. Your mind is too racing forward. You're not inside of your body. Your energy is kind of a little bit all over the place, or like over there. So the information is allowing you to say, hey, okay, let's come back. And the more we kind of do it just as a regular practice, the more, if anything happens, which life happens, right? There's no life that doesn't have anxious moments. Then we have access to the tools, and we don't go further into it and start to spiral into a place where we're kind of trying to search for the out. What we're doing is actually we're searching for the in. Let's go into it. So that the next time it happens, you're like, oh, okay, this is what that is. And there's not this big long story that, oh my God, there's something wrong with me and I'm anxious and all this like. So that's what I want to share with you this first week. Super duper simple. I want to keep it super duper simple. And that's it. And I wanted to also just link my program. I have 2 programs: Awaken the Soul Entrepreneur for entrepreneurs, and Awaken the Soul. So I'm going to link those below, and it's going to help most of us right now. A lot of us actually are in this place where, what is my next evolution? Where am I going? How am I living on this earth from the soul, from the heart, right? And so it's kind of a shift that's happening in our world. And so this program, this 12-month membership, is to help us gain clarity of what we really want to do. What do we really want to do here on earth with our life? And that doesn't have to be this big grandiose thing. It's just clarity on what you want. If what you want to do is mow your lawn every day with peace, great. You know what I mean? So whatever it is, we must first find clarity. And then the second thing is, once we find clarity, be able to regulate our nervous system like we just did, so that we can take action towards where we're going. And not just any action, but action towards the clarity that we've just gained. Because here's the thing in anxiety. When we start to get clear on what we want, our mind is so used to having this kind of like panic mode that as soon as we think about it, literally like the second afterwards, we start to think of all the problems of why that's not possible. Right? Like, I want to live more in nature, and then all of a sudden you start to think of all the 10 million things of why. So the container helps us stay focused on where we're going, and little small actions on a weekly basis, strategic actions to get us there, because we can have the energy and we can have the emotion of where we want to go, but if we don't have the action that accompanies it, then the momentum is not built. And when the momentum is not built, what happens is we start to get discouraged because we don't see progress. So we want to be able to see progress in our physical, mental, and energetic health. And we also want to see progress in our daily life, which sometimes the progress just means as simple as make that phone call, write this thing down, go buy a notebook, like simple actions just to baby step towards where you want to go. And so the container that I offer helps you just stay on track, because that's the other thing too. What I realize, and I think this is true for everybody, is if you're trying to achieve something, some kind of goal that is not typical or that is not necessarily shared with other people, but it's just something that you know in your heart you want to do, you need support. You need a mirror to just let you kind of hear yourself, so that person can continue to, that accountability can reflect back to you of where you want to go. And I know this to be true for myself, because that mind will, again, 1 second after you think about what you want, 10 million, reasons why you can't do it is going to happen. And then you kind of go into indecision, you go into confusion, your body starts to kind of go a little bit in overwhelm. And then maybe you do an action, but it's not from the clarity that you first had. So what happens is the more we kind of take action from clarity, then the more and more you start to feel a little bit more in flow because you feel excited. And that's a frequency that creates momentum because you know you're excited to do that thing. At first, there's a lot of layers of fear, and that's why in this practice, there's going to be psychosomatic practices to continue to regulate the nervous system, strategic practices to understand where I want to go and keep that in our kind of line of sight, and then what is the action of the week that we can take. So if you're interested in something like that, it's a 12-month membership. We meet twice a week, and it's a year. It's a year long, and we are going to, you have access to me as well, via Messenger, however you want to connect. So it's a year-long membership. I'm going to link the link below. And I think a year is the minimum. You know, when you're trying to achieve something, you sort of have to keep that focus little by little by little, because you know, sometimes it's just too much to try to do something in a couple of months. Yes, there are going to be leaps and bounds in the first couple of months, but to fully kind of form and manifest what it is in the life we want, a year is the minimum of just getting closer to that vision and that dream. Okay, so it's called Awaken the Soul. Click the link. You're going to see I do a free discovery call. And in that discovery call, we already start the work. We start with what I call the 3-level clearing. And we start to see where you're stuck in your body, mind, and energy system, what's blocking you. Because once we kind of get that subconscious block, then it's sort of like the domino effect that helps us with everything else. Because that's the subconscious thing that always, like, it's sort of like one foot on the pedal and 1 foot on the brake, 1 foot on the gas and 1 foot on the brake. So this kind of helps you kind of unlock, what is that thing that I know I want to do this, but something keeps on stopping me. So we're going to get to that. So we're going to start the deep work right away. So that's in the first call, and then after I'll tell you about the 12-month membership, and then that's it. So thank you for today, for yoga and meditation for mental health and anxiety. I will see you next week at noon Thursday here. You just have to tune into my profile. If you have any questions, DM me, and that's it. So hope you guys have a great day. Thank you. Hi, Mike. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. And of course, if you have any questions, I'm here. And otherwise, have a beautiful, wonderful filled day. Bye, everybody.